All right.
Are we going
Looks
already?
like we're live.
Ah, a little bit early.
All right. And I'm going to post that.
I was just sharing, doing the thing myself.
Yep. Better to be early than late, I suppose, right?
I was going to say, we're usually fashionably late, but...
Trying to change that.
yeah, exactly. Stay more on task.
What up, Dr. Death? Good to see you.
Yo, yo!
Tyler Adams in the chat. What's going on, brother? Good to see you as well. Good to see you as well.
It's been a hot minute, and we have a lot of these to roll on through.
Yeah, we do, indeed. We got a lot of stories here. And let me move this over here so I can monitor the window.
And bring up the live chat stuff here.
There we go. You have to excuse me. I have Walking Dead on the background. Anyone watching this new show? It's phenomenal. I've heard
I'm
that
very
about
excited
this
too.
one.
Yeah, I was waiting to binge it once all the episodes are done. It's the one who lives.
Yeah,
the
I don't-
ones who live. The one with Rick and Michonne.
I think I can
returning.
only watch the first episode on Shudder because I don't have AMC Plus or whatever.
I
the
do,
hell.
so I'll have to give you my
Oh,
login
sweet.
so you can jump
Okay,
onto that.
cool.
Yeah, the reason I've been a little hesitant about it is because, so I know in that World Beyond show, they introduced this group that's not in the comics, right? They were the ones who took Rick when he
Yeah,
thought he was
correct.
dead, and so
Yep.
that's where I feel like I need to watch the 2 seasons of World Beyond, because I tried a couple episodes. It was like the kid Walking Dead show,
was
and I
really
did
bad.
not like it very much. So I don't know. Maybe Dr. Death, you can let us know if it's necessary viewing before jumping into the ones who live, or maybe how much it ties into the Daryl show and the Negan Maggie show, because I haven't got to either of those. Either of those either, which is stupid on my part. But yeah, that's news and booze. Yeah.
What up, Davey Deathray in the chat? Nolan D. Giants
Davey.
fan also in the chat. Good to see you guys. Yeah, we got some news to discuss here, and plenty of it.
Yeah, lots to catch up on those. So this is just from the month of March. I know it's been a few months since we've done this. I was trying to keep it a little more current when... basically, Cecil is the editor of the stories. I send him a bunch of possibilities, and then he kind of whittles it down to what seems to be the most prescient and such. But yeah,
Dr. Death says you do not need to see World Beyond, but it does help fill some things out.
that's what I figured. Yeah, and shit. Okay, well, thank you for the clarification.
Knowing Fuego.
Yeah, I like to be a completist, and yet I still haven't watched Fear the Walking Dead, and I'm not sure how much that ties into
I
some
watched
of
the
other
first
stuff
2
either.
seasons of that, and then I
Yeah.
gave up on it. Around the same time I gave up on the regular show.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I had every issue of the comic, like literally front to back.
Well,
but
I
just
did have something
got bored.
spoiled for me with regards to something that happens to Rick that happens in the comics. I saw some images of it. I believe it's the hand thing.
Oh, in the comic? Yeah.
The hook hand or whatever.
Yeah, well, not hook hand
It's not
necessarily, but
something.
yeah.
Something that goes down. Yeah, in the first episode, I heard that's what.
Yeah,
That's what's
I know,
going down.
There's craziness going on right
Yes,
outside the
yes.
door, guys. Sorry. Mr. Rick, good evening, guys. Let's talk horror news. Indeed,
Damn right.
indeed.
Well, let's get rocking. You want to do the intro proper?
Yeah,
Ah.
actually, yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
So, without further ado...
This was pre-gaming.
well,
Ah.
yeah, and we'll come back and do our intro. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome.
Welcome back, ghouls and girls, to the horror show. Slam a drink, grab a
Where's my
seat.
drink?
It's news with booze.
All right.
So, hey everyone, I'm Cecil Laird,
I'm Jaime Fuego.
and this is the news
With booze! Salud!
Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to the show.
Bienvenidos.
So, Fuego, let's do like we used to. Let's do a drink check.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some scorn for mine, but whatever. I'm taking
Mine
it easy
is
tonight.
vodka with pineapple and a splash of cranberry.
Well, mine looks probably similar to what yours does, but this is just a berry truly. Yeah, I'm taking it easy. I got some work I got to do later tonight, so
Yeah, we can't always get crazy.
yeah. Although some of the more interesting instances have been when such transpires, but
Dr. Death says, I'm such an obsessive for Walking Dead. I hated World Beyond, but I still bought the DVDs.
yeah, I have to get. I know it's only 2 seasons, and I know it's truncated as far as the episode counts. I think it's maybe 6. Guys, is it 6 episode? 2 6-episode seasons? I mean, I could probably breeze through that and have it on the side when I'm working on some other things, you know, just half window.
It's about all you can do when watching Walking Dead.
Like I typically do. Well, I don't know. I mean, I heard solid stuff about Daryl and the Maggie Negan show. I forget what the subtitle of it was, but you know, those are the 2 that I really did want to make the time for, and I haven't. So yeah, at some point, yeah.
I have pineapple juice. Woot woot! 10 years sober, boys. That's why it's news with booze. BOOS. Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on
man.
the 10 years, buddy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I need to get started on that train. In all honesty, otherwise I'm never going to lose this weight. So, guys, let's get this party started and talk about the very first story that we want to hit on that everyone has already covered at this point.
But we need to give our 2 cents about it, I
We
think.
do indeed, and that is that Neve Campbell is officially returning as Sidney Prescott for Scream 7.
Yep.
And Kevin Williamson, who originally wrote Scream, is now going to be directing the franchise for the first time.
But not writing.
But not writing it, right?
Yeah, and that's where, because I would imagine they already had kind of a script in place, and then with, you know, Barrera and Ortega's exit and everything, and they're trying to retool some things. I'm really curious as to who of those, you know, the new core 4, as they called them, with half of them departed now from the project, how that's going to shake down, or if they're even...
I think they're going to just ignore it.
Yeah, they might. And honestly, they could, and they would make complete sense, because they do at least mention Sidney in the 6th film. I don't know. I get much more excited about Sidney returning if it's going to be a Sidney-centric story.
Yeah.
As opposed to, she was so underutilized in 5, I did not even think her presence was uber necessary. No. Dewey was the one, and we all know what happened with him. He was the kind of the core of that story as far as returning, you know, OGs and stuff. So it's still really nice. I mean, it's always been her franchise in my opinion, but this was kind of a desperation move after everything was falling apart, from Landon, you know, the guy who did Happy Death Day, leaving the project, and then the 2 actresses gone, you know, the sisters, and I am really curious what would have happened if they followed through with 7, because, I mean, Sam was a big part, especially of 5, you know, with the backstory connection stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, I love this franchise, so I'm definitely excited, and I love Neve. Kevin Williamson's only directed one other thing. Do you remember Teaching Mrs. Tingle? Did you ever see that?
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, with
I watched
Barry
it
Watson
once,
from
when
Seventh
I was
Heaven,
younger.
and I think it was like PG-13 horror. It was okay, you know?
Yeah.
Nothing special, which is why he hasn't directed again, I would imagine. But, yeah, they're coming out shots firing, trying to get people just recommitted and back on board to wanting to support this franchise. So, what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm interested to see what they do. You know, I like Neve Campbell. I like the Sidney Prescott character. I do think probably leaving well enough alone was the way to go. But now that she's back on board, I guess, you know, let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
I was getting a little bored of the new core 4, to be honest with you.
I liked them more in 6 than I did in 5, but
but
not by
I
much.
still wasn't like on board for them like I was the past cast and stuff. So I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested to see what Kevin Williamson can do this time around behind the camera, but not behind the pen. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to get super excited about it because I don't know what they're going to do. But
I was really pumped for Kristopher Landon doing a Scream movie, man. He felt like the perfect fit for this franchise, obviously, you know, based on his resume and stuff. But You know, what are you going to do in this particular case? But
Dr. Death says, saying? What I would like to see is Neve Campbell play Ghostface Killer, and she has enough to... she's had enough and gets away with murder like The Strangers. I thought about something like that. I thought that might be a way to go with Gale, to be honest, because like ultimately her career was centered around Ghostface, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, Dr. Death says World Beyond is 2 10-episode seasons.
10 episodes. Shit, dude. Yeah, I thought it was like 6 or 8 or something like that. Well, I mean, 10 compared to a 16-episode season or the extended 18 or 24 or whatever the hell it was. But I'm just wondering, are they going to bring back Patrick Dempsey from 3? Because that's who they said she's married to him, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could potentially come back. There's still all the rumors about Matt Lillard
They can't make
coming
him
back.
the killer now, though. Not after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So, spoilers!
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I didn't say why they can't after Thanksgiving.
No.
Jen Werner says Courtney has signed on for Scream 7 as well. I hadn't seen that, but
that bit I didn't see. I wouldn't expect anything less, especially I was really hoping they were going to kill her in 6 because they killed Dewey in 5, killed Gale in 6. I thought they were going to, sequel trilogy Star Wars that shit, They chose not to.
God, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what they did, right?
Yeah. Well, but I thought Dewey's death was handled way better than Han Solo's death was.
Oh, agreed. I've actually grown to really load the sequel Star Wars trilogy. After,
it's really bad.
After
Joe Fierro, by the way, shout out to Joe. Loved teaching Mrs. Tingle. Really, really, I did. Can't wait.
I saw it in theaters when it first came out because that was when Williamson was. I mean, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream and even, I'll admit it, Dawson's Creek. Yeah, I know, guys.
We're going to get there, Joe. We're going to get there. So, all right. That is story number 1. Story number 2.
I'll be there, opening weekend if we don't have press for it ahead of time or something. So, yeah.
So the second story is that the horror Winnie the Poohniverse will be an actual thing.
Okay, and this is where I don't really have much to comment on here.
The
because
Poohniverse.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So
the name
appropriately
alone.
Named.
Did you see it? Because I didn't.
I did not see the first movie. I had no desire to. I'm actually, I gotta be honest, I'm actually more interested to see the sequel than I was the first one because
I know they have
they
way
got
bigger
more money
budget. Yeah.
and apparently they got an actual writer to write this one. The effects, like the Pooh costume does look cooler.
Yeah.
So I'm half tempted, but then I saw the Poohniverse timeline and it made me way less interested to buy into it.
Yeah.
Like, it's asking a lot of buy-in for the Poohniverse now.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
after one movie.
Well, but they have... That's the thing. There's all of these IPs now.
Is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey really Iron Man in this situation?
Well, weren't they already working on, the Peter Pan Neverland, and then I think they were working
on... The Bambi
Bambi
one for sure was being worked on.
And
I don't think that's even by them. I think they just...
Maybe
they contacted all these guys that were making shitty spins on kids' cartoons.
See, I love Pinocchio, and it's called Pinocchio Unstrung, but they already did Pinocchio's Revenge back in the 90s, and that was pretty
Dude,
shit,
they've done so many Pinocchio. They had, 2 years ago was the year of Pinocchio. We had 3 Pinocchio movies
Yeah,
in 1 year.
I mean, there was the horrible Disney one, there was the awesome stop-motion Guillermo one.
And then there was the Pauly Shore one.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. Didn't see it.
Pinocchio, I didn't either, but that also came out that
Pinocchio
year.
is maybe my favorite book growing up, dude. I absolutely still love that book. I have it in various forms of hardcover illustrations. I had Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night, which was this animated Funimation late 80s sequel where, he turns into a real boy at the end of the original story. Well, he's a real boy, and then the Emperor of the Night kidnaps him and turns him back into a puppet, and I have it on VHS. It's never been released in any other format. It's real. I fucking love Pinocchio, dude.
The coolest
thing...
Well, no, I don't think you'd be able to get into it because it's so hard. But that Lies of P game... It's cool.
It's from American McGee.
No.
Yeah, it totally is. It's from the Alice guy. Yeah, it is. It totally is.
I thought I would have heard that by now if that was the case, but maybe you're right. But either way, apparently one of the things that happens is there's a portrait of you in a particular place, and the more you lie throughout the game, the portrait's nose grows. And if you lie for every decision throughout the game, then the nose grows fully, and you can actually go and pull the nose off and use it as a sword, as a weapon in the game.
I can dig.
I was like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of the...
I'm pretty sure it's not an American McGee thing.
Man, I was positive it was, man.
No?
Yeah.
No.
Or there was
Because it is way too polished to be an American McGee game.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I loved, Madness.
But you haven't played
and...
Lies of P. Lies of P has to be It's a Dark Souls type game. Like, it is
okay.
of that ilk. It is, like, hard
haven't played
combat.
Dark Souls, so I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
oh, man. It's Elden Ring, you know?
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
Anyway, let's get back to this.
I stand corrected. I'm an idiot. Well, yeah, So the second film actually comes out this upcoming week on Tuesday is when it's going to be in theaters. I have the mildest curiosity. I almost threw on the original. I think it's still streaming on Peacock of maybe a couple months ago.
Oh, is it free? Okay.
Yeah, on Peacock, but I just...
God, maybe I should watch it.
I don't know. If it's a fellow YouTuber of ours who will go unnamed... He had a feud with these people recently, and I saw he's like, I've made peace with them, and I'm just like, kind of thinking to myself,
I Zoom call or something.
Yeah, it's something kind of silly, but I guess milk it if you
that's
can.
What they're doing.
You know, that's definitely what they're doing.
I just I'm not immediately buying in because it just seems like really easy as a filmmaker to just get a little bit of money and make really shitty horror versions of stuff that everyone knows. Again, that might be painting them with a broad brush, but forgive me, that does appear to be what is going on.
And these peeps aren't the only ones who are doing it. When the Steamboat Willie stuff happened, I mean, they had there's like 3 or 4 different projects that were already in pre-production behind the scenes, sort of stuff, just waiting anxiously for this thing to hit public domain. So
I'm not excited about it, but more power to the people that are, I suppose.
Any fans in the chat of the Winnie the Pooh Blood and
There's
Honey?
A couple people say I'm like Nolan says I'm sold on the Poohniverse.
Yeah.
I'm so over everyone trying to make huge universe franchises out of every movie. Just focus on making a good movie. I agree with that, Dr. Death.
Yeah, it's all about putting the cart before the horse in these situations. I mean, shit, even the big boys do it. Look at what happened with the new Monsterverse that Universal was trying to do, and everybody points to it because it's one of the most egregious examples of where they did that photo shoot with all of them together, and they're like, "Yeah, Johnny Depp's going to be the Invisible Man," and they showed all these people, and they
put out one movie, and they're like,
they were like, well,
maybe not.
Shouldn't have done a Tom Cruise action movie for The Mummy because we already had great action mummy movies with Brendan Fraser. It was pretty bad, and I love Sofia Boutella, even if Rebel Moon's kind of shit, but
Pert Minded with a dig. Got my tickets for Winnie the Pooh 2. I was entertained by the first. Still better than most Blumhouse movies that come out nowadays. I don't know that I can say that.
Imaginary was pretty bad.
Imaginary was pretty bad,
Night
but I
Swim,
don't think...
I
still think it's on a level above the Poohniverse, but maybe I'm wrong.
But, I'm not going to see it this week, although I think it is just one of those little limited engagement things.
Oh, yeah?
Although you can use your A-list for it, and when the previous one came out, it was a Fathom event, and you couldn't use the A-list for it, so...
Well, it's a bigger release.
Yeah, it is, so...
they're going to make money.
They have more money now, I heard they had like 4 or 5 times the budget of the original.
Yep.
So...
Alright, so...
Now this is one...
Next story.
This is one that significantly intrigues me. So... Joe Dante of Gremlins fame, The Burbs, Piranha. He is a genre icon. Not really doing as much lately, which is why this seems an interesting kind of return to high-profile sort of stuff for him. This will be, the 3rd version of Little Shop, because there was the Jack Nicholson one in, the 60s, I want to say, and then there was the 80s version with Steve Martin.
Jack Nicholson wasn't in that.
In the original Little Shop of Horrors, the very first adaptation.
That wasn't Jack Nicholson.
100% Jack Nicholson in the original one. The original one. Late 60s, early 70s.
It's 1960.
Yeah.
I'm fact-checking right now.
He's in the cover art, dude. Yep, it was before he did Easy Rider. It was... Yeah, maybe he was in a smaller role. He wasn't the lead or anything. At least I don't believe he was. But obviously the one that everybody knows the most is the one...
Well, shit, you're right. Yeah. Wilberforce.
Yeah, so the one Frank Oz directed in the 80s with Rick Moranis, Steve Martin, that's the one that is most known to everybody. And that's a tough act to follow, man, because, especially they've done this on Broadway.
Well, that was a remake of the 60s one as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this will be the 3rd incarnation. I don't know. Like, let's check out the story because I don't recall if they mentioned they were trying to go.
It's basically the same story.
So they're not going to go the musical route, though, presumably.
It didn't say. It didn't say. But
That's
it did
what I'm
say
most
it was a
curious
remake
about.
of the 1961, not the 1986
okay.
one.
So maybe they'll.
The
lean
big
into,
difference
they'll lean
is
into
at the
horror
end
more?
of the 61, Seymour gets eaten and becomes a flower on the plant, and like everyone else discovers it at the very end of the play, or at the very end of the movie.
Now, did it start as a stage play? That's what I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring up the story right now, but I mean, he hasn't done as much lately, obviously. But if we're talking in good hands for this sort of, I mean, this sort of property, if they're gonna go like a horror comedic slant sort of route, I think it's right up his alley as far as his resume goes. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. The thing is, it's funny to think about that doing a new Audrey 2 is like, it's concerning that almost 40 years later, I'm like, can they match how good that Audrey 2 was in 1986?
Yeah.
Now in 2024? Because I think they'd have to try and do CG. Because the puppeteering in that original is
Directed by
so
Frank Oz.
perfect,
Yeah.
so on point, and like the voice matched the movement so well that I just don't think they can do anything near as good nowadays. Plus, Little Shop of Halloween Horrors. I'm not sure why they decided to throw Halloween in there, because that I don't remember that.
Jeez.
I have the comics. Like there's a 1-issue adaptation of the 1986 movie, and then there's a 3-issue adaptation of the 1960 movie.
Which
and I have
Corman
them
directed,
both,
as I was just
but-
reading. Yeah, which is why Corman is on to produce this one.
Joe Dante has made bangers since Tyler Adams. The Howling, Gremlins, The Burbs, Small Soldiers. Yep.
Small Soldiers is one that I really need to revisit because I don't recall liking it that much as a kid when
I
it
didn't
first
either.
came out, but I don't know. I've seen a few videos where people are breaking down aspects of it, and they're just like, they were trying to market this to kids, and it was very PG-13, and there's
Dude,
like...
it holds a place in a lot of kids' hearts.
Yeah, from what I understand as well. So that's where I'm just really... the fact that they are saying, especially with Corman on board as producer who directed the first one, that they are leaning into the vibe of that one as opposed to the Frank Oz musical. This one is being written by, let's double check his name, Charles S. Haas, who actually wrote Gremlins 2. So I mean, yeah. So that's exciting for me too.
I'm excited just because I love the writers' room of the Gremlins 2 sketch, because the original creator said
Key and
it's
Peele.
like it actually wasn't far off of that.
Yeah.
So
This is what makes me pause a little bit, though. The site notes that Little Shop of Horrors is intended to jumpstart a new franchise because everything has to be
everything
a
has to
fucking
jumpstart a new
franchise
franchise
now.
nowadays. But you know what? If it's a cool musical with man-eating plants, fine,
Yeah,
give it
count
to
me
me.
in.
I love it.
Yeah, most
Love it.
stuff. I love the Oz version. I think I saw the Corman one once in my 20s, and I don't remember.
I think I've seen it.
I don't
once
remember
too,
shit
yeah.
about it. So
But yeah, the
it's in good hands,
the
if
Oz one's
anything.
incredible.
You know, so.
All right, so that's story number 2. On to story number 3. Now on to story number 4.
News.
This is actually so Jennifer Caton Robinson is set to direct a brand new sequel in the I Know What You Did Last Summer series. There have not been any confirmed cast returns yet. However, we got a statement from Jennifer Love Hewitt that said, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, and didn't Freddie Prinze Jr. say more or less the same thing? Because they are the
Basically.
two from, I Know and I Still Know. I don't think either of them were in the I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
I don't even remember what that one was.
It was the direct-to-video one. I mean, the second one I recall very distinctively because you had Jack Black as the Rasta Stoner.
Direct to video has lost all its meaning nowadays.
Well, it's
because
all
there's
VOD now.
it's all
Yeah.
streaming, direct to streaming.
Yeah, so there were some interesting comments from this new lady who is behind the film, and she's like, the essence of this franchise is pretty people doing messed up things and showing their compromised morals and whatever. It's very interesting though for me that this is coming pretty quick off the heels of that TV series that I think, did you and Marsha review it, or
Yeah.
did just Marsha review
No,
it?
it was both of us. Yeah,
Yeah, because I didn't watch it. What did you think of that one?
It wasn't bad, actually.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty good, to be honest with you.
Just like I never watched the Scream series, I didn't watch the I Know What You Did series.
I think I Know What You Did was
unfortunately.
better than Scream,
Really?
in our opinion. Yeah, I think that's ultimately where we landed on it.
Yeah. So, but this one would, at least from what the article was saying, would be a sequel to those first two films. Maybe there's still. It's like the Neve Campbell situation where Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze. It's the negotiation. How much are we worth, sort of thing. Like how.
Well, what are they going to do, though? I Know What You Did 30 summers ago. Like, what's it going to be called?
That's a good question. I mean, because they already did. I'll always know what you did.
Yeah.
So,
But by the way, shout out to Savannah Christina Heffron. I just turned 24. Happy birthday.
yeah, Feliz
Scott me in the
cumpleaños.
chat as well. What up, Scott?
Yeah,
Good
this
to
is
see
kind
you.
of a golden birthday of sorts then. 24 in 24. That's cool.
Yeah, 24 and 24.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
boy, that
it's
makes me feel old.
anyone born in 2000 has a real easy way to remember their age.
That makes me feel old as hell.
Shut up.
Oh, my God.
I'm fucking way above you. I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
But no, the Fisherman Killer was never scary to me.
Yeah, I
he
didn't
was
think so
he was silly. He was kind of stupid. So they'll have to amp that up somehow. Obviously, it definitely can't be the same dude nowadays. Like
I think it needs, and also, like, in that first movie, it was more so about, like, just kind of the tension and the terror as opposed to the kills, because there's, like,
Yeah.
barely any killing in that first I Know What You Did Last Summer movie.
Sarah
I know
Michelle Gellar bought it. I remember
Yeah,
that.
it made me so sad. It was like, she was Buffy, and she's indestructible, and then when she was on the big screen in Scream 2, and I Know What You Did, she's
like
fucking,
dead,
she's biting
dead.
the dust, man. It's
And
like,
then Cruel Intentions, jail.
oh boy.
So yeah, there you go. That's our thoughts on. I mean, what is your base thoughts on them going back to the I Know What You Did Last Summer? Well,
Everything, I mean, it's the goes around, comes around, popularity of an IP.
everything in its place and time.
Yeah, truth be told, man. I mean, I'll be much more interested if they bring, and it's probably why I wasn't as interested in the television series, just like I wasn't that interested in the Scream television series, because it wasn't any of the familiar faces, If Jennifer Love Huge, as they called her at one particular point, I'm not going to finish the last bit of the phrase. I've always had a soft spot for her. What was the movie? Can't Hardly Wait is one with her that I really loved. I know it's not horror, but whatever, man. Ghost Whisperer, I thought she was solid in that, all the seasons of that show that they did. So I think Jamie Kennedy was on that show too, now that I think about it. So yeah, if they can get her and Freddie Prinze back, neither of them are really doing too much right now. So
Dr. Death
knows?
would certainly be happy about it. I still have
Yeah.
my giant bikini poster of Jennifer Love Hewitt from 1998
Nice.
hanging in my bathroom,
Nice.
laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty crusty by now if it's been hanging in your bathroom since 1998. Does she look like she's been working spackle? is that
Oh boy, doubtable.
Anywho.
No, man. I mean, I'm totally on board for this, but much more so if they, actually, much less now that I think about it, if they're not involved. If Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. are not involved, or even if they just get, whatever. I'll see it for sure. As long as it gets theatrical.
Can't Hardly Wait is one of my faves.
I
That
just
was a great
rewatched
one.
Can't Hardly Wait like a week or two ago.
That is a great one. She's gorgeous in Heartbreaker. She's gorgeous in everything that she's been in. All right, so story number 5.
You call Barry Manilow and tell him how you feel.
Filming has begun on Lee Whannell's The Wolfman for a Halloween 2024 release.
A lot of people were skeptical after Ryan Gosling dropped out if they were even going to hit this release date, because it was in place even before they did the casting swap to a dude here who was in Possessor. He was in a film. Oh goodness,
Didn't like Possessor, so that doesn't help me. Okay.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Possessor either. He also had that small role in. He was in the back half of. I feel ill prepared, guys. He was in the very third act in a very small role in Poor Things. He was also in a film. It wasn't called Sacrifice, something like that. In any event, he's a talented actor, man. I believe they actually have Lily Rose Depp in this one as
He's
well.
a talented actor, man.
No, he's a talented actor, man. I mean, just like, yeah. Let's get the story actually pulled up properly so I don't feel like I'm putting my foot in my mouth. But I mean, Robert is who I really wish was here at this particular point, because I can't remember if he was like on board for this or if he was more just kind of ho-hum, whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't either. But Lee Winnell
did great with the Invisible Man. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and he has a great track record. His work with James Wan and the Saw franchise and various other things. Like Christopher Abbott. Okay, he was in Poor Things. He was in the aforementioned Possessor, which I know a lot of people like. That David, Cronenberg's kid. Oh goodness, the name of Cronenberg's son is eluding me at this particular point.
Brandon.
Yes, Brandon Cronenberg. Yeah, and the sister has a movie that's coming out pretty soon too, which is interesting. But they're still shooting for that October 25th, 2024 release. So I mean, yeah, we'll see. I guess Winnell is co-writing it with Corbin Tuck, who I believe he worked on the script for Invisible Man with. So I mean, lots of big peeps in place, and this shows, along with Maggie Gyllenhaal Bride film, that they are really trying to revive this monsterverse, this Universal monsterverse to be specific, that they were trying to go in a drastically different direction with a number of years ago with the photo we were kind of laughing about. So
yeah, well, we'll get to Bride.
Yeah.
So, all right, that is story number 5. Moving on to story number 6. This is interesting because this kind of came out of nowhere. Skydance, the film production company, is launching Nocturna, an all-new horror label that's going to be headed up by Andy and Barbara Muschietti.
Yeah, his sister. And so, yeah, they definitely made their name with the 2 It films. But even before that, man, I thought Mama was
great.
Was very strong, man, with Jessica Chastain. I think they're producing the Welcome to Derry series,
what up, movie Mike?
But not much that I can really speak to beyond that. But yeah, man, they've been trying to get their hands into so many different projects at this particular point, and they also did The Flash most recently. What am I saying, man?
Well,
which
yeah.
Which
the less we speak about it, the better.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate it, but apparently the first project from the Nocturna team will be a film titled "They Will Kill You," which has Kirill Sokolov, who is in a film called "Why Don't You Just Die," on board to co-write and direct.
Aggressive
but let's
title.
just detail what the site says. They Will Kill You is described as a horror feature laced with the black humor. That is Sokolov's trademark. Unfortunately, we can't really speak to that if we haven't seen the previous film, telling the story of a woman who answers a help wanted ad to be a housekeeper in a mysterious high-rise in New York City, not realizing she has entered a community that has seen a number of disappearances over the years. Sounds relatively vague, like a lot of films that I've seen before, but under this label, we are excited to deliver the full range of emotions that our movies pack: heart, humor, and horror, and that's what the Muschietti said. And, they've actually shown, based on at least their track record as projects they've helped put together, I mean, maybe Flash to a lesser degree, but, both of the It films, as much as some people didn't like Chapter 2, I still thought that there were certain specific beats with the adults that they did a really great job of hitting. The kid stuff is, iconic at this point. I mean, it's the highest grossing horror film of all time, that 2017 It. And if you haven't checked out Mama, I mean, it's really solid PG-13 horror storytelling, and it has the same things that, I don't know so much about the humor aspect, but definitely, the heart and the horror. Visionary filmmakers who have mastered the art of scary event movies. Okay, so obviously this is just more so like the possibility of what can happen, in the future with these two, guiding young creatives with their money, because they made truck tons, like dump trucks of money from that first It film, because they produced it and, directed in the case of the brother, Andy. So, yeah, man, I mean, anytime you have people that are this passionate about helping kind of grandfather in and foster and kind of guide along and assist, newer voices in horror, I'm all for it. So,
yep.
Good stuff.
All right. Moving on to the next story. This one is all about the idea that the original creators
was the one thing
Ghoulies
that I didn't realize.
are planning a new trilogy of films for a new generation, supposedly.
I've only seen the first Ghoulies, unfortunately.
I've seen them all at one point. I don't remember them at all. I know that I think it's the second one where he comes out of the toilet like that, which is the thing that everyone remembers.
Yeah, because I remember being a little kid in the video store and seeing the cover of those movies. Yep. And that one, I guess, would be the specific. I've only seen the first one, and I saw it more recently, too. It was much more like
Way crazier with the sorcerer.
Wizardry
and
conjuring
like that.
to bring them up and everything.
It's like
and
a big sorcery thing.
Yeah, and of course it had that mid 80s-ish, like all the kids are partying at this weird old house, like Night of the Demons sort of shit.
Yep.
And not bad. I mean, decent aspects of humor and whatnot. And it's like at the same time that, you know, it was all similar things between critters and ghoulies and munchies and gremlins and all these different little creature things. It does not, like, that's the original creators planning. So let's just jump to the bloody article real quick. Empire Pictures, lovable called classic creature feature. So they made 4 of them, apparently. We haven't seen them in 30 years, so that's interesting. But original team behind it, they want to develop, of course, new trilogy for a new generation. Everybody, they're going to make everything into a franchise if it's successful enough. They're like, we're going to, you know, outline 3 to 6 films or whatever. Like, shit, Power Rangers, they had like 6 or 8 films or whatever with the the one with Elizabeth Banks playing Rita Repulsa. The team is expanding the Ghoulies-verse beyond the silver screen. They're also going to do a book series that's going to accompany this too. So they're going all out with the tie-ins and with everything that they possibly can. First and foremost, I wonder if Ghoulies is actually worthy of all of this attention.
I don't think
just
so.
Really, yeah, this might be wishful thinking on the fact that they want to bring it to a new generation. I don't know how much of a crap, and no pun intended with the toilet stuff, like a new generation actually, you know, really thinks about Ghoulies. I
don't think any of them.
Yeah, I mean, shit, if Gremlins can't catch with, and Gremlins being just a cartoon, but they tried with Critters, both the TV series and I would say Critters is like a tier above Ghoulies, dude.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know? So, I don't know.
I don't know what they're hoping to capture, but we'll see.
Fans can look forward to bringing home a piece of the Ghoulies universe with an exclusive line of figures, apparel, collectibles. Man, this is called going back to the well with hopes to high hell.
Yep, it's doubling down.
I guess the whole thing was the toilet always, because they had multiples coming out of the toilet later. Like, toilet since the very first one, dude.
Yep.
And yet, if I remember in the first movie, I don't even know if one comes out of the toilet in the first one. I don't think it does. Yeah, it was just going for weird, creepy poster art, which was the big thing in the 80s, man. You had to have something to catch the eye in the video store.
Gonna cost a lot to go practical. Big risk for niche franchises. So
Yep, totally right, man. And especially with, you know, if they're gonna go all out with this, like, merchandise and tie-in blitzkrieg of stuff with hopes that, I don't know. Maybe the Ghoulies devotees will have a different opinion than me.
All right, so that leads us to the next story, which is The Bride, which we touched on briefly. Maggie Gyllenhaal's Bride of Frankenstein.
Yep.
Going to be released in Halloween 2025.
Correctamundo.
You know, fine. When it's done, I'll give it a try. I don't particularly care at this moment, but I've never been a big Universal Monsters guy. Like, I don't dislike them. I just didn't grow up watching them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got Guillermo del Toro working on the new Frankenstein movie, which is interesting. And he just cast the dude from Saltburn, the love interest, who also played Elvis in the Priscilla movie. No, not Austin Butler.
Other Elvis.
The more like accurate Elvis from what so many people have said, the kind of asshole Elvis that he really was. But the name of the actor is eluding me. But he's also the love interest of Coogan's character in the Saltburn movie, or at least the object of his affection. But awesome actor, man. And so he's playing the monster in Guillermo del Toro's version, but then the kind of sister piece of sorts is this one that Maggie Gyllenhaal is going to be directing. And just like with that film, the Guillermo one, this one has a stellar freaking cast, dude. This is what I'm wondering about, though. Penelope Cruz as the Bride of Frankenstein. Interesting casting.
Small.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that makes me wonder a little bit. She's very petite, and I'm kind of curious how they're going to do her up. But you're going to have Christian Bale as Frankenstein. So obviously this is So this is so that makes me wonder if that's I'm guessing that's Dr. Frankenstein, because the monster being different. You've also got Peter Sarsgaard, not to be confused with the Skarsgård clan, but Peter Sarsgaard as the detective. And I love Jessie Buckley, dude. She was in first and foremost, she was in Wild Rose, which is a great movie. But as far as genre stuff, she was most notably in Alex Garland's Men. She was the lead. She was the lead lady in that film. But she was also in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. So she's a very talented Irish actress. And so stacked with talent, man. I mean, and they're apparently basing this on the original 1935 James Whale film, so they're not trying to take one of the more modern. I don't know, because they've done some of that Frankenhooker. I mean, even Poor Things to a degree is kind of a Bride
which
of
I
Frankenstein
started and I was
sort of
actually
story.
quite enjoying.
Dude,
I
from
got
a
about
visual,
25
from a visual
minutes in.
standpoint,
It was
man,
really
it's
gorgeously
gorgeous.
presented. I might finish that tonight. Actually.
Yeah, it goes into some interesting territory. But I'm trying to remember if you can give me a pause.
She's already discovered herself.
Yeah, that's the one thing that a lot of people took exception with you know, in that film, because she's got the brain of a baby. I know Maggie Gyllenhaal, if I recall correctly, has directed previously, and so I'm just jumping to her IMDb real quick because obviously
Peter Sarsgaard was
Jake
in
Gyllenhaal
Green
is her
Lantern,
brother.
right? That's the Peter Sarsgaard I'm thinking of, the bald dude.
No, that's a different dude. Peter
Really?
Sarsgaard. You'll recognize him when you do. He's got kind of a handsome, chiseled look, like shorter, spikier sort of hair. I'm trying to think of some things that he's actually been in.
He was in. Yeah.
Okay, maybe he's just rocking more of a Buzz sort of look now.
Oh,
but,
yeah. I guess he was bald in Green Lantern, so
Yeah.
I missed it.
Wait,
was that? Yeah, that was him. His brain got all big and stuff.
He was under a lot of makeup. Yeah. Been married. Okay. Oh, interestingly enough, Gyllenhaal is married to Peter Sarsgaard, so that's obviously why she's putting him in as the detective. Man, what the hell did she direct? Because I know she has done one directorial thing previously, and that's what I'm just trying to direct her. Come on. I don't think it was genre though, so that's where we're losing ratings.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Doesn't
Secretary,
matter.
Lost Daughter.
Doesn't matter.
Yep, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I mean, both of the Gyllenhaals are teletalented, and I mean, if she's
Teletalented, so only good over telephone.
yeah, hella talented, yeah. And
All right, so Fuego, this one's all you. I have no skin in this game. The Salem's Lot remake is finally going to get its official release after having been delayed and pulled and delayed and pulled. Finally going to be coming to Max. You don't believe it?
Nope, don't believe it at all.
Until it happens.
Until it's actually because this is the thing, man. This was originally going to go theatrical. It was delayed, and then it was rumored to go to Max.
Stephen
and then
King
it
says
was
it's
shelved,
great.
Of course he does. And maybe
everything that that has his name on it is great before it comes out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's done that he's burned us a number of times over the last few years.
Oh yeah.
You see, the big thing about this, I don't really like Gary Dauberman very much, but I'll just bite my tongue and accept that he's the one behind this movie, directing it and everything. Yeah, Dauberman. Yeah, exactly. So the reason for my skepticism, though, is because of the fact that this is a Warner Universal film at this particular point. What they're doing with Coyote versus Acme, how they're just deciding to shelve it. What they did
Batgirl.
with the Batgirl movie
the
as well.
Dearly departed Batgirl.
Yeah, exactly. Brendan Fraser, Michael Keaton as Batman was supposed to be in it too,
turn.
which makes me sad. Man, that. I don't know if you've seen the bit with Michael Keaton from the Oscars where
I did, yeah.
Look at the son of a bitch right over there. Oh man,
yeah,
brilliant stuff. But as I get off on a tangent, the reason I'm still skeptical is because they officially announced that it's going to go to Max, but yet they don't date it. They've dated it a few times, pushed it, shelved it, indefinite hiatus. It's been so many. If Stephen King taking the Twitter X, whatever the hell they're calling it now, to really just force his hand as the person behind this, he still wants it to go theatrical. That's obviously not going to be happening at this particular point. But they're talking about the Coyote versus Acme situation, the Batgirl situation. They can take tax write-offs on these movies, and we know what this new Warner Universal dude is doing. His name eludes me, but he is very much about the bottom line and trying to get this company out of the red after the pandemic and just how far they fell. And so, I mean, they're still in debt and all that other stuff, but they've at least cleaned up enough with, cutting some of these corners and laying off a lot of staff and all these other things. I'm with my buddy Mike Kearns from Mike's Book Reviews, where literally I will believe it when I am sitting there watching it's Bill Pullman's son, who was in Bad Times at the El Royale. He was in Top Gun Maverick, and he's a talented actor. This is his first time. He's playing Ben Mears, so he's playing the lead, the writer, the lead character. I still really love the Tobe Hooper miniseries, the Rob Lowe one. Oof, definitely not so much. it's another turn of the wheel, so whatever. What are you going to say? But this would be the first time Salem's Lot is in a R-rated theatrical realm. And so that was the one thing that really had me hopeful about this project, even if it wasn't that good. It's never had the R-rated, almost like, the It treatment, where it went from miniseries to, no constraints, R-rated theatrical. But I don't know, man. I'm still very skeptical because of all the shit that's going on behind the scenes, with Warner.
It'll go up on Max, and as soon as Fuego hits play, it'll be like starring Rick Astley. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let. It's just a giant Rickroll after all these years.
If he ever lets you down.
All right.
Oh man, yeah,
So.
but guys, I will not believe it until I'm sitting there and I press play at home on Max, and it actually is there before my eyes. So, I mean, shit, it can't be worse than Pet Sematary Bloodlines or the more recent Children of the Corn, which I didn't even...
Or the upcoming Final Destination Bloodlines, because Bloodlines are the thing now, apparently.
I just remember those Image Wildstorm Comics Bloodlines that they used to do, which were like super gory compared to what you would see
Bloodline was
from DC.
one of the DC annual years, was those alien creatures, and it was called
Yeah,
Bloodlines,
that's right. They did that there too. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, and I'm getting my Image Comics mixed up. But,
Probably.
yeah,
Alright.
man, Salem's Lot. I still don't believe this is actually happening. It's the fact that they didn't even date it, because previously they dated it, and now all they're saying is sometime this fall, presumably.
So, like,
around,
get your hopes up.
around
Maybe
Halloween.
Maybe we'll surprise you.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Savannah says, any news about Dylan's New Nightmare or anything yet? I'm not sure what news you're referring to. The perks are coming along. I'm going to be sending out an update this week. We finally seem to have secured Rexes, so we're excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Rickroll would be insane, says Nolan. Yeah, agreed.
Is
So
that a Rick and Morty joke or something?
No, Rickroll.
I guess I don't know what the Rickroll is. I know Rick Astley. I know his 2 hits.
You don't know what a Rickroll is?
No, I guess not.
What?
Yeah,
I'm
guess not.
flabbergasted. I'm more flabbergasted than...
It's
it's
obviously a
basically
bait
when,
and switch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. When someone says, "Here, check this video out," and then it's like, it's just Rick Astley. Never gonna give you up, and so that's being Rickroll.
Oh, what about together forever
No,
and never
no,
to
it's just
part?
never gonna give you up.
Together forever we
No,
two.
just never gonna give you up.
All right. I like both those songs. I can't say
Wow,
much
Fuego,
of any.
You're so adorable that you don't know what a Rickroll is. Wow.
No, is that what it... No.
Okay. Welcome to the internet 15 years ago.
Yeah, I've got my head up my ass of a lot of other stuff.
All right, so Clive Barker making his final convention appearance. Actually, today was his last day at the final convention he's due to appear at for now.
And
because
they
he wants
said
to
it's
get back
his
into writing.
Yeah, and they said it's the last of his the last few convention ones, but this is the only appearance that was actually confirmed as of now. Boy, would that be awesome if he showed up at because it was the other Days of the Dead that he was at, right?
Yes.
Or was it? Yeah. So man, I doubt that he would be a last minute addition to the incarnation that we have here, because it's the first time they're doing Days of the Dead here in Arizona. It's when? May? June?
Late June.
June.
Last weekend of June, yep.
So who knows, man? I mean, boy, would that be rad status. But, Barker's output has been pretty much non-existent for a while now, and yet in this most recent...
Has he done anything since Scarlet Gospels?
Yeah, he's done a few. I mean, he did Mr. Begone, which I believe was a novella. He's been teasing more Aberrat stuff, which I haven't read yet. I believe I downloaded
What's Aberrat? I don't
Aberrat,
know.
it's like his... I'm trying to remember if it's more of a YA sort of thing. Robert would probably know better than me, because I think he said he read the first Aberrat book.
Oh, okay.
He does the cover paintings for them. I mean, maybe that's what. As I watched some of the supplemental features of some of the later releases, like Midnight Meat Train and a few other things, he's very much got into painting, and he lives in Los Angeles and has for a while. So he hasn't been in the UK for decades at this particular point, but he has his own gallery. He paints like crazy. Hasn't been writing as much though, and he's obviously not directing. He was very productive for a few decades there, and I feel like he's kind of retreated. Maybe he has his notoriety. He doesn't have the creative output of Stephen King, who let's put it that way, but maybe a little bit more multi-talented, I would say. With the visual artistry, we know Stephen King can't direct, even though Maximum Overdrive is a guilty pleasure of mine. Barker directed a number of really solid stuff. I mean, between Obviously, the first Hellraiser, and then Lord of Illusions, yeah, as well. Nightbreed, I think he directed that one as well. So yeah, man, he had a knack for it. He's tried his hand at a number of things, but in this big statement that he put out, he's like, yeah, I've got the final book of the art. He's got a sequel to Thief of Always, which was another earlier YA thing, if I recall correctly, that he did. So, I mean, if he has been just writing like crazy and stockpiling, and that's why he says in this big statement that he put out that the reason he's finally capping off and ending his convention appearances is because he's had all of these different projects that are in various forms of development that he really wants to properly dedicate his time to finishing off. More power to him, man, because it's been kind of dry from Barker, and he was like the darker, more avant-garde, sexy, crazier version of Stephen King. And, you know, King helped kind of create his career, you know, with that blurb that they put on the Books of Blood in the early 80s, and he just took off and went running. So, I don't know. I would love to talk with Clive Barker. I mean, Scarlet Gospels, Books of Blood, you know, Damnation Game, and he's awesome. So, I don't know. I'm curious what the chat has to say. Any Barker fans out there? I know Robert's a big Barker fan.
Movie Mike says Weave World is a fantastic Barker book. Nick Push's Horror Channel says, hey, everyone.
Yeah.
Dr. Death is excited about Flanagan's Dark Tower. But yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about Flanagan's Dark Tower. That's another project that I am incredibly skeptical about because he has this first look deal with Amazon. Obviously, he's doing stuff out of that deal, like Life of Chuck, which is coming presumably later this year with an incredible cast. Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, Karen Gillan, so many people in it. And Karen Gillan actually said recently that she watched this cut of Life of Chuck that Mike sent her, Mike Flanagan being, and she's like, I cried for like days. And if anybody who's familiar with the Life of Chuck story, which is a novella from the If It Bleeds from 2020 during the pandemic, you know that this is a story that is very ripe for that sort of despair and very heartfelt sort of stuff. But they've tried with the Dark Tower. We saw how bad it was with Idris Elba. They did that pilot that wasn't picked up by Amazon, and the fact that was an Amazon project, and now Mike Flanagan has he's put his proverbial, I don't know, tent down with Amazon. I'm skeptical, man. I'm really hopeful, but just like with a lot of King stuff right now, that's very up in the air. I just don't know. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent. Hey, Dice. Good to see you guys.
Dice, yo.
Next story is filming has begun on a brand new installment of the long-running franchise Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Which one can only assume is going to involve the children of some of the earlier characters.
If they're really gonna try to tie it in accordingly, I've seen Jeffrey Reddick, who Tim and I have followed each other on Twitter for a while, and he's had his hand in a number of things that have not really, you know, like taken off and hit properly, but he was the co-creator of this, and, you know, wrote the original script that I know somebody else went and tinkered with and whatever, but this is his baby, man, and he has been just giving little updates on X or whatever they call it now once again, and he is just beyond excited that this is finally in the proper process of production. You know, Final Destination 5 was the last one, and that was where the ending was just perfection, and it tied in with the first one. It was awesome. Really, the fourth installment's the only one that I don't think's particularly good. It still had some okay kills, but that was the one at the... Is it the one at the race car track?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was, man. Yeah. So, I don't know. This was a jackhammer of a franchise for a while, man. They were doing one just about every year, and then afterwards, Paranormal Activity, you know, kind of took over that mantle.
Couple of years,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I adore this franchise. The very first one with Devon Sawa and Stifler, and I mean, what a cast, dude! It was great. It was Ali Larder, I want to say, was the name of the love interest too. So, Tony Todd, who is, from what I hear, coming back for this one. I'm curious about the Bloodlines tie. That's why you're implying that you think it's going to have something to do with posterity of maybe survivors or whatever. Okay, producer Craig Perry, let's just read the statement. Writes on social media, after a long, hard slog through the pandemic and the strikes, day one is finally in the can. So they are officially filming it. It is actually happening. 2025 will mark the 25th anniversary of the release of the first installment, so very calculated and fortuitous in some ways too, to honor the occasion with another worldwide theatrical release, and in IMAX no less. Wow, so they're planning to put this in IMAX, and
Nice.
I doubt he would be boasting about it if it wasn't already, if the deal hadn't already been done. So
I doubt it too.
yeah, that's very exciting. See you next year. P.S. I know Pet Sematary Bloodlines, but this is a title we've had for 3 years. Yeah, but how long could they have potentially had their title for as well? Because that's a film that had been in development for years and years and years as well. So not particularly kind to take a slide on that movie, which I actually had fun with Pet Sematary Bloodlines. I didn't think it was that bad. But dude, I mean, what's your thoughts on this franchise? Is it kind of forgettable? I mean,
No, I love the Final Destination movies.
Yeah.
I'll always welcome a new installment.
Which is your favorite one? 2? 1?
Probably the first one, just for its unique setup and everything. But I enjoyed them all.
Yeah. I still think 2 has the best opening. That's the one that still haunts
The highway,
everybody
that haunts everyone,
from
any log truck.
You see the logs, man.
Yeah.
It's so grisly.
No, but I
and so
actually really
elaborate.
liked the roller coaster.
No, the third one. That was the one with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
Was the lead. It was before she got big, and she's really good in it too. Much more so than a lot of the other actors in it.
No, I love the franchise, so yeah, I'm always down for a new one.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that it's been this long. So yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Death, I read Don Mancini said if fans want Chucky in space, he'll give it to us.
I
as
heard
long
that
as
too.
it's Brad Dourif, I'm in. I'm fine with that too. Every slasher deserves to go to space once, so why not?
Yeah. Well, since I haven't watched the first half of this new season, and without getting into like big time spoilery territory, I've seen the photos of like dying Chucky or whatever in the second half of this season.
Old man Chucky.
Yeah, I'm totally wondering what the hell is going on, man.
Yeah, he's lost the power of Damballa. Damballa has abandoned him.
Okay.
And so
he's rapidly aging like a real person.
Yeah, it's catching up to him. Yeah,
I see.
But that's what's funny. Like, he's lost the favor of Damballa. So like the big thing in in episode 4 is he's trying to do something so evil that Damballa will notice him again, and it's like this massive kill scene in the White House. It's so awesome.
I did see that it was in the White House, and Devon Sawa was like the president or something.
Yeah. It's fun. It's been the most enjoyable season of the show yet.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we had issues with
had
issues with the kids in those first 2 seasons.
No, yeah, because they're in it still, but they're much less. And I like the first family. I think they're fun to watch, but. Chucky is trying to kill someone every episode and get away with it in the White House, and so it's pretty funny.
Nice.
So no, I'm excited about the second part of that, honestly. So the final story is A24's Maxine will finally release in July, and actually may not be the last film in Ty West's new franchise. And forgive me for the misspelling of Ty West's name.
Yeah,
That's
T.I.
on me. That's on me. I realized it as soon as we were going live. I was like, shit, I misspelled that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Before I got checked, he's like, yep. So apologies to Ty West and all the people that are hurt by my misspelling.
Yeah, absolutely crushed, destroyed. I can't say that I'm surprised about the fact that Ty West is saying that he has an idea for a fourth film. Although it does make me wonder, I would imagine it would be Mia Goth, but since she did play different characters between Pearl and would she be playing the same one? It's obviously all going to hinge upon what happens in Maxine, with the character from X who's returning in the 80s for this one. Is the 80s thing overdone at this particular point? I mean, as far as like the whole retread, and they're trying to set every damn thing in the 80s, because I've seen... I watched a few reviews of people that are like, oh, Lisa Frankenstein, another 80s set, like... Ever since the whole Stranger Things pop, like, it's like they want to set everything in the... Like, I grew up in the 90s, too, man. I would love to... It's just... The 90s didn't have as much of a very, like, in-your-face visual aesthetic, I think, as much as the 80s did, and so that's why so many filmmakers like going with it. But I'm stoked as hell for Maxine, man. I mean, I love both of the films for different reasons. Because they were drastically different films in just about every possible capacity. Shows the versatility of Ty West as a director, and I'm curious to see his take on this particular decade, because he did 70s and then he did 20s, right? 20s or 30s, when Pearl was supposed to be. So bring it on. And if he decides he wants to do like 90s maybe or whatever, I mean, shit, man, bring it.
Yeah,
so,
I'm on board too. I really dug X. I really dug Pearl. I liked X better, but I'm about this. I want to go back and see Maxine's next bit of story, and if there's further distance to go after this next movie, then I would say go for it. You know?
Yeah, and I think the other big thing is where they're placing this, A24 being in the release schedule. July 5th, dude, they are putting it front and center, prime summer release spot. That shows not only that they believe in the film, not just from like an artistic standpoint where it's going to be well reviewed. I think Pearl was actually reviewed better by critics at least than X was. They were like, X was a little more derivative, and so for that reason, I had more fun with X, honestly, but I still appreciated Pearl from a stylistic standpoint more so. Like I said, I liked them both so very much for different reasons, but this is a big show of faith, and A24 just keeps upping their prominence. The Civil War movie that's coming out that was done by Garland has major friggin' buzz going down about it. They won an Academy Award with Everything Everywhere All at Once. So A24's prominence just keeps rising, man. I'd say they're probably the premier indie sort of release, because they acquire and distribute, but they also, like actually finance and make their own movies themselves too. So, man, bring this shit on, dude. I'm very excited for this third entry in what was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but now looks like it might be something a little bit bigger. So
me too. So there you go, guys. That's gonna do it for the news with booze for this time around.
Yep, and I'll just have my little slurple.
Yep, slurple. Let us know what your thoughts are on any or all the stories in the comments down below. Thank you to everyone that's been commenting and taking part in this stream so far. We wanted to keep it around an hour, to get it in and out. And Fuego, I know, needs to get back to work and stuff, so I got to go say goodnight to my kids. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. We recorded Robert and I recorded a trailer reaction roundup, so that'll go up tomorrow. We reacted to 13 new trailers, including the first Omen and a couple of others that we didn't get to do yet.
There's a new spot for the first Omen. And what else? You and I just did a Frozen Empire.
We just recorded
review.
Frozen Empire.
Very curious how
our Late Night with the Devil review is up. Yeah. And then the review
Immaculate came out this weekend. Yep. Yeah, so that's another one.
So we have reviews for everything that came out up. If you're interested, go check those out.
And then you and I are going to see this upcoming week, the Godzilla versus Kong.
We're going to see Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah.
Not versus.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we're also seeing a secret screening tomorrow, which I'm hoping
we have no idea what the hell it's going to be.
Yeah. If it is Winnie the Pooh 2, I might just walk out. I'm going to walk out. Yeah, I'm going to walk out.
I actually spent the $5 as opposed to using one of my A-list for it, because it's only $5 as opposed to the full theatrical
price. You would see 3 other movies that week otherwise?
Oh, I saw 2 this morning, remember?
Jesus Christ. Yeah. I don't use it. I'm like, use one. I barely get through 2 in a month.
Yeah, I just, my inner frugal person just just cries out if I don't get out to it's just been so tough with school, man, getting out to the theater 3 times a week, and sometimes there isn't even decent stuff to go see, although I have wanted to see the Kung Fu Panda flick, so I haven't seen that yet. But anyway.
Have a happy, fun Easter, kids. Cheers, says Dr. Death. Christopher Santiago. Immaculate looks so good, and Mia Goth is such a hottie. Yep. And Chad Joyce, thanks, fellas. Thank you,
Immaculate goes pretty hard in that third act, man.
Immaculate goes hard in that third act. You better be prepared for that.
Yes, it does.
So. All right, thanks very much for watching, guys. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, I've been Jaime and Fuego.
And remember,
stay scared. And watch Holidays Easter.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Easter segment.